numbers are there?
That's it. We're just going to ignore the countdown and keep talking. Well, hey, everybody, no scat today because I feel like scat. But welcome back to Karandrin Role Playing. My name is Kevin Manus Pennings, also known as Crack Palantir. And I will be your game master and host for this episode 130 of Brise's Tale. We've been doing this for 3 years and loving it, despite our audience hating our guts. But as always, my good buddy Max is here to play the lovely and talented Paladin Brise. So, Max, say hello to the folks.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good evening. We just checked. We have 50 subscribers on YouTube, so we expect 50 viewers tonight.
So we're
doing roll call tonight.
That's right.
Minus 100 Karandrin points, and he was not here.
That's right. I'm telling you, that is my dream to do Karandrin points eventually. We get a little income coming in, and we start doing like gifts and things. I would think it would be hilarious. So yeah, that'd be funny. We'd probably get a bigger setup so we could have counters and other widgets going on. So we say, oh, here's our top Karandrin point winners, and that'd be a lot of fun.
It'll be like our own Bitcoin, like just Karandrin points.
Exactly.
Ethereum.
That's right. So welcome back, everybody. In terms of a recap, we had mostly a conversation, mostly a social episode last week, sort of dealing with the aftermath of the fall of and I've been saying the Eastern Vetch, and that's wrong. It's the western part of the Vetch, where the Philistine now rule. Well, that was weird. What happened? Oh my God, this stupid thing. I was trying to edit the Philistines caption, and when you hit edit, it then pushes that caption all the way down.
Very intuitive.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Yeah, so all right, that's fine. So the Philistine basically have killed all the settlements to these tiny 100-person, 50-person settlements and farms and so on inside the northwestern areas of the Vetch, and have basically laid claim to it. So uninhabited and rugged that it's not as though the governmental powers really care. They're not losing taxes, and it's unlikely that they'll know about it for weeks. Although that is something that Brise and her companions hope to change. So they have they seized control of that area. And Brise, along with a number of other characters, NPCs, have been trying to raise awareness that that's happening, as well as decide themselves what, if anything, to do about it. You also last week you also talked to the Trinidos about trying to discern what the significance was of the green light that appeared over the Vetch after you guys retreated from there. And what did they tell you?
Well, they told me they observed the light arcing as lightning from the Tower of Chelbrick. Chelbrick's Tower, I guess, is more accurate. Chelbrick, as we know, is a necromancer who is somehow involved with the dealings with the Philistine, and as a tower located in the Vetch. And this energy came from his tower and laid a curse on this entire region of the Vetch, where the
just 300 feet from the wall.
Well, right, it was the region of the wall, right, where they're building this construction, this site, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's this construction site. The Philistine have undead servants who are the people they've killed, and risen again are now constructing this great wall. And anyone within 300 feet of this wall, there's now a curse that if they die there, they rise as an undead. And I can't remember, in servitude to Chelbrick, I believe.
Yes, in service to him. So
we're still very fuzzy on what really is Chelbrick's end goal, right?
Right.
I mean, control the Philistan makes sense, but then also how could he hope to control thousands of undead, right? Each with their own independent will. It's kind of something doesn't add up, and we're not sure what yet.
That is one of the problems you see in a lot of fantasy gaming is that, if you're going to suggest that these necromancers order to control thousands of undead, right, then you're basically setting yourself up for a world that is only undead, because the necromancers will simply be unstoppable. And so he either has to have some sort of enormous artifact under his control that will allow him to extend the number of undead that he can control, or he's figured something out, or he has some other plan entirely. And thus far, have we learned very much about Chelbrick himself? Not.
Not much. Only that he does visit Convergence time to time.
Right.
Often it seems like for leisure, right, attending parties and such.
It sounds like it's a. Sorry to interrupt you. It sounds like this is a reasonable line of questioning to put toward Iron, right? What, when they had dealings with him, what seemed to be his magical cup of tea? What did his goals seem to be?
Right. I had a conversation with Iron last session. I didn't push too much.
Yeah.
What he knew, but we should start to question him on that. Yeah.
Hi, Obi-Wan. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you answering roll call. Appreciate that.
Is Elle also here? Is Elle also
I have not heard her arrive yet, but I'm sure Obi-Wan will let us know when she's here and she wants to watch our television show, as she calls it.
Best TV on the internet.
Best TV on the internet, usually with scat, but not this time. We do have, we've got several questions up in the air, and you're actually now headed back to a meeting at Lady Kieran's, right?
Yes. Stayed at the vineyard north of Convergence.
Yeah. So Convergence is a mannish city south of the Vetch, and is a friend of one of Brise's allies, and so they've sort of had they're using it as a temporary headquarters while they try to sort out what next steps there are. And of course, Fraldrum is sort of Fraldrum and Doshrik, her apprentice, are both sort of things are complicated because they also have other duties back at Miagral's Keep. You have finished a conversation with Overdal, who was a former sort of a retired halfling who lived in that region, had vowed to protect the undead, protect the people there from the undead. But he got his ass kicked too, and his whole estate overrun and so on. And so you've helped them sort of find new homes or given them the resources to do so themselves. And now you're headed back to the meeting place north of Convergence. Right. That's going to be 2 teleports for you, right? You're going to teleport to the valley and then to Lady Kieran's.
Yes. Yeah.
So you might as well, when you're headed back, you might as well tell the Trinidos that Overdal and a few of his retainers survived.
Oh yeah, good idea.
They believed everybody was wiped out.
Right.
All right. casting from your own power, or are you casting
Right.
from?
So make it out of the keep okay, right? Down to the
Yeah.
midway
Yeah,
down.
make sure no one's stopping you for questions or anything, as we've
I
mentioned.
mean, I know I did end up teleporting into the keep kind of on accident. Well, unintentionally. Caused a little stir, but not enough to, get me held up.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I would use my channeling adder last slot, and we'll focus and try to teleport to the Valley of the Trinitas.
All right, roll above an 8.
75.
Nice. That's 9 exhaustion, and you roll to aim.
70.
Nice. Let me see. I should do this. Probably something like that. That does not make sense, actually. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. Right. That's not gonna work. So, yeah. What was your roll? Sorry.
70 for aim.
So, yeah, you wind up there. How long has it been since you? It was just not too long that you were there before. Yes.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was earlier today actually because I teleported.
How many hours?
Oh, probably like 1 because I came from here talking to the Trinitas, right, and then to the keep.
Right.
And then
Just
back.
gives me a sense of when to how what positive or negative to roll for
Right.
news.
Yeah, it couldn't be more than an hour, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, wait, no, because I waited a while for Averdal to finish talking with Athene. I guess it could have been a couple hours.
3-4 hours.
Yeah, let's say.
You're obviously noticed instantly. I should pop up the old Trinidas. So, again, the choral voice of a single Trinidas, or maybe they all speak through one. It's hard to say, but you hear the choral voice from one that approaches you and say, you're back so soon. They sing to you.
I say I'm Averdal and his retainers are and few of his retainers are actually survived, and they are kept safe at the mountain keep.
That is good news.
Mm-hmm.
We thought them all lost. And you take your leave of them, and now you're on to your own PowerPoints now.
I am.
And you're headed to a spot on Lady Kieran's vineyards.
Yes.
Roll it up.
Okay. Take time to focus. And 44.
No problem. Roll to aim.
94.
No problem.
Fantastic.
10 power, 10 exhaustion. You you appear in a discreet location. No one saw you.
I guess kind of the same situation as the keep. Is there like a main entrance to our estate? I should probably make myself known that I'm walking through.
You don't know. You don't really have a lay of the land, so to speak.
Okay.
I think what you chose was some place in the back courtyard,
right?
Behind a bush, that sort of thing, and you're just going to sort of stroll out. But it's no one's really keeping track of your comings and goings. You have to assume because no one at the front gate saw you leave, so no one's expecting you back.
That's fair. You're right. Because I did teleport out.
So, you're in the courtyard. I forget if the survivors that you guys saved, if the refugees, had they already been gathered up, or is that?
They stayed the night, and then Fraldrin, urged Lady Kieran to send them to Convergence.
Right.
So whether she's done that or not, we don't know.
Right. Okay.
Because I left in the morning as well.
All right. So yeah, if it is that morning, if they stayed the night, then I think the plan was to gather them and send them. So the courtyard is predominantly empty.
Just there's like a big like pile of bodies like burning at the stake. It's like
we had other plans. We did not trust. We didn't trust their. We didn't trust their their vote there. We didn't trust Fraudrum to say no, they're fine. They're not tainted by the undead. So now they're burned up.
Lady Kieran was like, it was kind of a Hunger Games situation, you know. The strongest one.
That's it.
That's enough to spare for all of them.
That's right. And I'm gonna apologize to reviewers. I'm gonna be coughing on and off. I'm falling apart. He's sick. He's falling apart. We're all coming down with something or getting over something. So, but I took some cough suppressant, but obviously not enough for Max's jokes. So
I'm glad my jokes make you cough. That's the reaction.
That's the primary thing that they're for. So you just kind of go to the back door that leads to the courtyards. You know, it's double doors that are let in some light, and you just tap on the door, and a servant answers, and is a little surprised to see you, and you just say basically, you know,
I'm expecting a meeting with Lady Fraudrum.
That's right. And she's like, does Lady Kieran know that you're here? And you're like, you may wish to remind her. I've been in my rooms all day, you know. And so she nods and goes. Lady Kieran.
I was sampling the vineyard.
That's right.
For quality.
I opened a few casks. I actually looked up the other day how many acres of grapes it takes to make some wine, and it's kind of impressive. You can get a lot of wine out of an acre of grapes.
Really?
Although I'm going to cut the number in half, given modern agriculture. I'm going to think about cut the number in half.
That explains because there's a lot of small vineyards, and you're always like, how do they like survive? It's because if you make really good wine, you probably don't need a lot of acreage.
Well, and it's interesting. It varies on the wine. Mm-hmm. Riesling was the one that they were talking about in the article I was reading, and said Riesling, you need fewer grapes for. And so, but then there are others that require more acreage per barrel because of the process,
right?
And your culinary goals. So I also love the studies that show that basically wine tasting is basically just crap. Wine judging and all that, it's all subjective. There's no judge that is consistent.
Right. Everyone's taste buds are.
It's just
it's like your personality. Yeah, it's part
right.
of it.
So all the awards are meaningless and so on. Which as soon as they told me that there was wine tasting, I was like, well, I mean, it's going to be like everybody else's taste. It's not going to be, you know, but it has this sort of cultural baptism, right? It's anointed in the culture as being this sort of highly refined thing, and it's not as refined anymore than pizza tasting or chili tasting. It's just subjective taste. All these, you know, they insure their noses, they insure their palates, and all that. It's all worthless. But way to pay attention to science, people. Way to go. But so Lady Kieran comes and finds you sort of urgently, and she says, you know, in the hours you've been gone, she's received lots of queries about how they, you know, that I see what happened in the vetch last night and so on, and there's a great deal of concern from those of us north of Convergence, of course, within sight of the phenomenon from the vetch, the green light that appeared on the horizon, she's not known what to tell them. and she says she tells him she's certain it will be all right, but she really doesn't have much more to say. What should she say to them is what she's.
Well, so I know that it's only affecting the wall. I would just say that it shouldn't.
But really, it's a great opportunity to tell people, right? Just stay out of the veg.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say, as long as you tell them to stay out of the vetch, and as long as they do that, they'll be safe.
There's a growing danger to the north. A power unlike any we've ever seen. She says, well, very well. Make yourself at home. Ask the servants for anything. Your bedroom is still ready. And she says, I suppose I have several notes to write. And off she scurries.
Okay.
And so at least the word will be spread here, so that people won't take whatever shortcut they may have developed through the vetch to get to get to Pleston or other major cities. Of course, it's doubtful they even have a path through the vetch, but it's no longer a place for a day trip.
Right. Let's go to the vetch for a day.
That's right.
Why?
But I bet they've lost some people, like this sort of wealthy class up here. Like some miner comes and pitches an idea of like, oh, I think I can find wealth in the vetch. I think I can find a vein of something valuable or gems, what have you. And then they send a prospecting group up there funded by some of these people. And that prospecting group does not come back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's what time of day is it?
So it was early evening when I teleported, but it's before supper.
So you're asked if you would like to dine. They're preparing something, for Lady Kieran. And so
I guess I'll inquire if Fraldrim or Doshrik if there's been any word of their arrival.
They are expected back, but no, we've not heard anything.
Okay. Well, because I will wait to dine out of prudence.
Out of politeness, I assume you mean.
I guess politeness. Yeah, I'm so used to grew up not eating until everyone's at the table, right? And that's built into me so much that sometimes it's unconscious.
That's hilarious.
Starving, and I'm I can't eat until everyone's
Yeah.
Everyone else is eating,
Yeah, we did. I mean, we did the same thing.
Yeah, but it's so silly. It's just politeness. You don't have to do it,
right?
If circumstances are otherwise.
Right. About an hour later, you've just been sort of thinking and relaxing, and so Doshrik returns.
Could I be, if I have any opportunity to read from my books on the great sky rings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got about 2 books here. I can tell you the names of them.
What are their sizes? Have we roll their sizes?
Yeah, so Wonders of the Ages, 800 pages, potential mention of the great sky rings. And then Great Works of the Ancients. That one I don't have a page number for.
Page count?
Yeah. Page count, yeah.
100 pages. It's a very slim volume.
Okay.
And just skimming through it, you can knock it in an hour.
All right.
You do find mention.
And for all our viewers, the Great Sky Rings there's a halfling adventurer in Convergence who, if I give him info on the Sky Rings, he will trade me a Ring of Regeneration, which is a very good bargain. So, borrowed some books from Mia Gral's library.
Well, the temple library, right?
No, this is from Mia Gral's.
Okay. So this is in discussion. You find a considerable amount of information
Okay.
here. So it's a discussion of a dwarven engineer. Her name is Shazagar, Shazigar. And one of her, sort of wonders that she created was what you would know as a construct, although here this simply refers to as an apparatus, a war machine basically that could hurl blades. It was sort of described as a metal giant. It stood 3 times the height of a man. And while it had no means of self-locomotion, it could be pushed through a battlefield, and from the thighs, it would launch lobbing blades specifically designed for it. Not circular blades, but actual sword blades. And there's sketches here and there. It's a very crude-looking thing, obviously, in its early stages. So from the thighs, there would be slots, and they would throw them.
Right.
To protect the men pushing it through the battlefield, there were swing arm axes just going side to side, and they would stop. They would do about a 180-degree arc, basically. So the men pushing behind on the calves would be hopefully protected somewhat from charges of infantry. And so it had. It also had 2 slots in the chest that could throw. They meant to be thrown in this sort of direction. So 2 in the front and 2 in the back. And, some men had to carry charges of ammunition and load it back up in there and so on.
Okay.
This is then compared to the great sky rings of the ancients. And the belief that maybe she took some of her ideas from those. It says, of course, her being a dwarf, her secrecy is to be expected, but she seemed to be a particularly cagey one addressing the rumors that she took her ideas from the great sky rings. And then it goes into a discussion of the great sky rings, which was believed to be a weapon, a series of rings, and again, there's a sketch. And so essentially, it's I'm trying how best to show you a circle, and then you would have a circle like that, and then you would have a circle. So it's this towering, strange set of circles.
Yeah.
That were believed to be all blades, all razor sharp. And they would stack some 10 or 12 man heights, 10 or 12 times the height of a man. And but the thing is that with some other arts, they could launch themselves into the sky and land upon a battlefield and then spin wildly.
Wow. That's very not what I expected from the Great Sky Rings. That's very cool.
Their creation is credited to Olleera, Olleera. known as the genius of Walbrook. Walbrook existed on the site, the city of Walbrook existed on the site of present-day Convergence. There was supposedly a testing field south of Walbrook where they were first demonstrated to the lords of the ancients, whose names have been lost. They are also known as the bird lords, as they often use birds as symbols of their that's the family crest.
I'm sorry. Wait a second. Is this all coming together?
It certainly sounds familiar.
Yeah, it sounds
that's
like
a tradition that is a tradition that could go 1,000, 2,000 years.
Right.
But
and
it's
it
not
spread geographically, but
right.
And among their most prominent lords was Verlag. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, you're really not that far from where all this happened. I mean,
yeah, no, it's only a couple 100 miles. Yeah,
and this could be a kingdom here in this region that only lasted a couple of 100 years. You know how these things come and go. All that stuff is very interesting to me. The sort of the fall of the fall of empires, and then like how other empires take over their territory. But it's not like all they really do is lay claim to it.
Right.
It's not like you can suddenly place cities there. We can't do that today. Not really. You have to convince people to uproot their lives and go and move and start a whole new economy.
And even then, yeah, you can like put military there, but as soon as you withdraw, there's no one there. There's no.
It's just anarchy.
Yeah.
Properly speaking, politically science speaking, it is anarchy. The lack of any government. It is unknown whether it was ever used in battle. Although there are some reports that it was used on a rival's city 22. That would put it to the east, so at the edge of the mountains, that it was used there. This book discounts that rumor because it has clear limitations on slopes.
Right, they would just roll down.
Although presumably it has its own magical force of self-locomotion, right? Well,
right.
They overcome that, but maybe it's still at a disadvantage. So at least you find that you've sort of knocked out that reference.
Yeah.
The rest of the book, you don't find any other reference to it. What's your interest in magical places? And do you have that? Where's that?
Like significant. Yeah, I'm interested in magic items, and places of history.
So this has a places, sense of history, and creatures. Why did I not put numbers on those? Usually I do. So that's interesting. So yeah, this might be a book to read thoroughly through to find out locations of some of these.
Yeah, especially since it's small, it can probably easily digestible.
Right. So Doshrik returns. He is weary, comes in through the back door without knocking because bird people have no manners. Doshrik is a bird-like humanoid who keeps his face very much covered, who is apprenticed to Fraldrum. He was going. Well, why don't you tell the audience where he was going?
I would if I remember. Let me scroll back up my notes. So I went to go talk with Iron and the Trinidos. Doshrik knows one with necromantic skills. Oh no, but she was too distant. Oh, Doshrik will visit his contacts in Pleston, which is a city also nearby the Vetch, I believe, north of here. He would warn them about what's happening in the Vetch, and I think see if there's anyone you could recruit.
I think he's spreading having
Chelbrick.
And to spread the word, like, hey,
Right.
That part of the vet should be considered off limits. If you got a shortcut, because those are your two cities, north and south of. Convergence is south of it, and Pleston is to the north of this area of the Vetch. Pleston is one of the Elven cities, ruled by the Lady of the White Shield, the only princess of the king, and just as you had traders that were sneaking through the Vetch, caravans that would sneak through the Vetch, and as a shortcut from going all the way around, like to go I can't remember the city's name now. Anyway, the dwarven cities cutting all the way to those far valleys, then coming up, and it cuts. It cuts a week of travel off if you can just go through the Vetch for a week.
Big question is if, though.
Is if. It is very rugged. You break axles, you lose animals, and you can be attacked. So he sits down. He's very weary. And you call for a refreshment for him. They bring him drink and whatever, and he pulls his hood tight, and of course keeps his head bowed.
Worms, please. Lots of worms.
That's right. Do you have any bird seed? Not from a coyote.
Actually, no worms. The late bird doesn't get the worm. He just looks at me.
You're there eating all the worms. I have all the worms. You have none of the worms.
Delicious worms. They're gummy worms.
They're the gummy worms. That's right. So he looks at you and just asks, Fraldrum?
I have not heard or seen of her.
He nods and eats. He gestures toward the book you've set down, asking if he can pick it up, basically.
Sure, go ahead.
He starts thumbing through pages and just passing the time,
I'll ask him about the great sky rings if he's interested in talking. So I was doing some research on these sky rings. Apparently, a ancient weapon designed by someone named Olira.
He goes, I know the rings by name only. Olira means nothing to me. He asks you if you've heard any word of his former apprentices, if they've reached out to you at all.
Whose former apprentices?
His fellow apprentices who were helping you with Crown.
Oh, so it would have been Bathrin and Tegriv. No, I haven't heard of them since they departed from the keep.
Oh, there we go. Oh, thank you, Obi-Wan. That's right, Gordovan. I could not remember that city's name, the dwarven city they would have to cut at least near. He nods. He said, I got a request from Bathrin a week ago. hoping that I would send a letter of introduction to an old acquaintance of mine. She was seeking a new apprenticeship. He shrugs and says, I haven't decided what to do.
So wait, Badler was asking him for a letter of recommendation?
Basically, a letter of introduction, which is sort of the same thing. It's not as specific. A letter of recommendation really is, hey, talk this guy up. And a letter of introduction is, I kind of vouch for this person as someone you can meet with.
Right.
I
guess I say to him, Badlerin seemed like a good soul for my interaction. She saved my, saved our, well, she didn't save our life, but she helped dearly with, in the Krallen business. Do you have reservations about recommending her for a position?
I simply didn't have time to really get to know her. But I trust your instinct. Perhaps I'll write it. You guys just sort of spend the time sitting there chatting. You sort of crack open another book. You guys fall into lapses of reading, and you're just sort of skimming,
right.
flipping and looking,
Where's the goddamn index on this thing?
I know, right?
Is it an A for ancient circle, or would it just be circle? I don't know.
You're just a bad reader, and so you're like, I'll try for A. No. Now I'll try for N.
I would be at a huge disadvantage if I was bad at reading. Thankfully, is that even a skill? Do I have?
Well, they had not really a reading. They have a reading in terms of language familiarity,
right?
But
there's no reading skill. Everyone's just reading.
There's not a researching skill. Like you learned in grad school how to gut a book, where you open a page, you read the first, and you start going. You read the first sentence of every paragraph, and then you read the first paragraph of every chapter and the last paragraph of every chapter, and you read the first sentence of every paragraph in between.
I've heard that too, and what I wanted to do is design like a book against that, where you just make the first sentence completely irrelevant to like the topic at hand. So like someone who skims through it, they're like, do that, and like, I don't know any, like what?
Apparently, this physics book discussed mostly chicken feed. That's interesting.
Exactly.
Even the title was wrong. There's a famous book, and I can't remember its name, but this is in modernist age, which is like 1890 and 1950, and playing with convention is one of the things that modernism and then later postmodernism would do. But do you remember those marbled in pages in some books?
Yeah.
Sort of a fancy book, and so you have this marbled pattern on the front page, on the early pages and the back page, and so this guy stuck his in the middle. Just put marbled pages right in the middle of his book, and it's sort of an artistic statement of these are just conventions. They mean nothing.
Right.
It always makes me laugh. You're finding this book riveting. You're having a really hard time skimming. Remind me what the larger book is called.
It is called Wonders of the Ages. An 800-page book.
Yeah. So it's going through and it's listing 40 different wonders, discussing them and comparing them to past things of earlier ages. The book is written right around the time of the rise of the goblins, so about 300 years ago. Boy, gotta change the way I'm sitting. I'm dying here. I'm dying. Um, put this over here, I think. So, but it's hard just to not read,
Yeah.
The servants come in. It's been a couple of hours since Doshrik arrived. They tell you that they're going to put on a pot of stew and just keep it hot. And they're going to keep going until the last of your party has arrived.
Okay.
About an hour after that, let's see how you're doing with the reading. Yeah, so you've stuck with it. So you're about 50 pages in, and you're not finding yourself skimming. You are entirely reading. So the Fraldrum enters. She is rather tired. I should pop up his thing. Meanwhile, in the vet, Obi-Wan says, I keep messing that up. I hit the wrong button all the time.
All of the time.
That is me.
It's almost as if they should move the button so you could click the right button all the time.
That's it. What a brain idea.
We just change technology so that it suits us.
That's right. Well, that's the only purpose of a technology, is to suit us, after all.
Should be.
What was she up to? Was she contacting?
Let's see. I didn't write down what she was doing. I'll pull her to the blue door in. That's the Trinidos. Keep an eye on the Philistine. No.
Yeah, it's my bad. I should have written it down.
Yeah. She was just, you guys do this. I'm taking a day off.
She didn't do anything. She just.
I mean, she did like almost expend all of her energy the previous day. So
yeah, she was
not blame her.
She was hurling some magic about. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we just take a little early break, and I will hop and go do the research and figure out what she was doing. So, guys, we're going to take a break before they have this this sort of meeting between these characters. We're going to stretch our legs and use the restroom. We hope you take a chance to do the same, and just come back and see us in just a few minutes. We'll see you soon. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Sorry for the somewhat longer delay. That was my fault. Let's go get our good buddy Max. There's Max, as
Now I'm on
always.
the bottom. Great. There
Now
we go.
you're back on top, baby. You're back on top.
Just
Uh,
right.
so welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. So I was able to discover what we had forgotten. So Frowdrum, she was going to see if she could arrange a meeting with the local council of wizards. And by local, we really mean regional. And so these councils of wizards, they sort of are like a UN in as much as they're meant to be a meeting place, a regular meeting place for the powerful, so that they don't get in each other's way. And so that if there are large, strange phenomenon that occur, then someone can take responsibility for it before things get out of hand.
Mhm.
You know, if a dragon appears somewhere, might be time for the council to meet, and you find out, oh, okay, no, I just was talking to that dragon. Don't worry about it. Or that was an illusion I was testing. Don't worry about it. Whereas if no one takes ownership, then okay, we have to assume the phenomenon is real.
Mhm. And then we put sanctions on that phenomenon.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's sort of one of the things, right? Is like, okay, well, if you're going to be going rogue and causing disruptions, and especially among the civilian populations that we depend on for food and for just peace. Um, you can't have magic shops being closed down and magical academies being closed down.
Mhm.
There is sort of a political element to it, absolutely. So a Shekra, for instance, he quit his council because he is sort of a rogue.
He has no qualms about that.
No, he just
Take on anyone who comes after him.
yeah. I mean, he was tired of being cautioned by this group of people, and didn't particularly care about any sort of group dynamic, as long as his goals were
I guess,
met.
does Brise know do the councils share like resources at all? Like, are they allies, or is it more of, like you said, just keeping tabs?
I'm sure it would. Your assumption is it would vary from council to council,
I
right?
see.
I mean, you see how Ashekra, was he's too independent and prideful, maybe,
Right.
be a part of one. But you could see, like, okay, there'd be some that maybe just personality wise, they just got along better. Certainly in terms of, research questions, they might meet to, it's certainly a good way to meet the local heavies,
Hmm.
right? So if you had a question about traveling to other worlds and you meet Prethnot at a council, you could privately approach Prethnot and say, look, I've got this research problem I'm trying to crack.
Yeah.
So it's weird to say, but of course it is sort of networking,
When is the Wizard Symposium?
Right.
Well, it's supposed to be held in the Vetch, but
COVID shut that down, if you believe the media. No.
Philistan is our code word for COVID.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna see if I can get this to. Let me see. I didn't want it to disappear on me. That'll be fine. As long as you can still hear me fine. So
Sound a little more distant, but I think it's fine
right,
as long as our audience isn't
drop
upset.
it down. Yeah. I could bump me up too. Oh, I'm already bumped up. Yeah. So the councils are just a way for the big wizards to stay out of each other's way.
Right.
And to be frank about, hey, did you cause that green glow? Or do I need to send agents into the vets to figure out what caused that green glow? Because that's awful near my tower. That sort of thing. So Frowdrum comes in. The servants begin just bringing food. bread, cheeses, anything they can think of that you might want, setting out wine and so on. So it's late evening. Doshrik has been dozing a little bit. You've sort of nudged him and gestured to his cowl every now and then when it, when his face drops too low. You guys sort of eat very hungrily, and Frowdrum, she pours a big glass of wine, drains it, pours another, and she says the coastal council will not meet. I've told them all I can. My contact there says he knows of no one. I should not assume. It is a he. He said he knows of no one who has any interest in the vetch. The name Chelbrick means nothing to him. And so he says, whatever little project he has going on in an uninhabited area will be of little interest to anyone. And he says, Frowdrum says, and I have to admit, he has some arguments. It's far away from both cities, and what humans are there, what civilians are there, are now far beyond our help. But I could not convince them to meet. Doshrik says, I had more luck. I met with an advisor of the Lady of the White Shield. There have been rumors coming to her of greater undead activity south of her city. The south part of her city, as you may or may not know, is the most difficult for them to defend. The wall was never extended across the river that far. The hills become sharply more rugged there, so the settlements are fewer. And while you can cut bridges to stop an army, or slow it at least, the undead have no such restrictions. Not that she's expecting an invasion, according to this advisor, but she is uncomfortable nonetheless. She is already looking at hiring brave souls to gather more information. And she's going to place patrols on the far side of the river and she may eventually, in the next weeks or so, ban anyone from using the roads that pass through the vetch.
Okay.
In addition, my other contact in Pleston says that Chelbrick has been very active in the city.
Oh, okay.
Predominantly socially. but also his name is being spoken more in magic shops and among other magical contacts in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Fraudrum nods at the first set of news, shrugs at the other. It may be that this just indicates that he's settled into his new home. These great keeps that we build for ourselves are lovely for carrying on research discreetly, but they're lousy for company. Even a sorcerer needs fine wine every now and then and good conversation.
Even a necromancer needs.
Yeah, I don't buy like a lot of the arguments of like, oh, I'm gonna all my necromancers don't wish to become liches. Like I mean, I'm like that would be even a last resort among necromancers, I would assume.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I feel like there's something to be said. Like, if you want to like be surrounded by the dead, it's like, well, you might have some different, likings than other people, but you can't be totally out there.
Doshrik says that he has asked his friend to try to gather information about the social contacts to see if there's a pattern. They were all, blacksmith guilds, mining, something like that. We're all tended toward one sort of goal that we could see pretty clearly. So maybe we should be concerned. And Falcrum says, I did well choosing you as an apprentice. That was going to be my next suggestion. Doshrik has also paid servants at beside the houses. How can I say this? Chilbrick's been invited to several parties. Doshrik went to houses beside those and paid servants to keep an ear out for any other party that Chilbrick might be invited to.
Okay.
Fraudrum says, you bird folk are cunning.
Thank you, Squawk.
That's right. You should say that in a tweet. I'm always using that joke for Doshrik, and I can't help it.
Yeah, Doshrik always says sentences that are 140 characters or less.
That's it. That's right. She turns to you. Fraudrum does. What news from Iron and our little winged fae?
Okay. Well, I tell that I didn't get much. Actually, I should scroll up. I don't think we learned anything from Iron specifically, but he is willing to meet with us 2 days from now at Lady Karen's estate. He's very eager to help on this issue. I think he'll have a lot to tell us about Chilbrick himself as a person and some of his past interactions.
So it's the evening, right? 2 days in the evening. Yeah.
Evening of the 26th.
Okay.
And then I'll bring up that the Trinidas discovered actually the source of the glow in the sky. And I described it was an arc of lightning from Chilbrick's tower that struck the. Well, I need to back up again. So there's a site in the Vetch. There, they are constructing a great wall using undead servants of those they killed from the villages. And this lightning came from Chulbrick's tower and cursed the area 300 feet around the wall, such that all who die there will be risen again as Chulbrick's servant.
Doshrik and Fraldrum look at each other, and Doshrik says, "There's no way that the Philistine know that that is the nature of the spell that he cast." Fraldrum says he's playing both sides. He knows that at some point the Philistine will be challenged. And
Whoops. Oh man, we lost you, Kevin. Chulbrick's spell was too powerful.
well, that was interesting. We just
Looks
got
like we
kicked
got
off.
booted.
Got booted, but we're back on. So anyway, so Fraldrum continues after being interrupted and
So
said
rudely.
he cast a spell that wouldn't protect the Philistine or sharpen their attacks. Instead, he cast a spell that would benefit him no matter the outcome. There's no way the Philistine don't know of this, or the Trinidos would have reported to you that the Philistine were angered. They're unaware, which also suggests that at least there at the fortification, none of the Philistine are skilled in necromancy.
I ask naively, can undead be skilled at necromancy?
If they were in life.
That's fair.
But surely there are some among them who will hear this report and possess magical skills and be curious what he has done. And he must have considered this. I bet you that enchantment is hidden. It is very difficult to stop fey magic. It is one of its great powers. It is hard to counter, it is hard to undo, and it's hard to conceal your magic from them. Goshrick says if he could cast a spell of that significant power, why not instead cast a spell to actually gain control of the Philistine?
I mean, he would probably only gain control of a small group, right? And then the Philistine might turn on each other and undo his work.
Or, Fraldrum says, he already controls the Philistine.
Well,
But that would require breathtaking levels of power. I am no tactician, Frautham says. But if I controlled the Philistine and I was having them build a fortification, wouldn't I have them instead build a fortification around my tower? So that if we're assaulted, our powers are combined and my fortifications are improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does seem like the Philistines' construction is to their own benefit, right? Something they've planned.
Doshrik says maybe he plans to retreat there. If he is set upon at the tower and sees that it's about to fall, maybe he plans to retreat to another fortification armed with Philistine. Frautham shrugs. Possibility. We have to wait for our meeting with Iron. See what he knows of Chelbrick, what kind of man Chelbrick is.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I suggest we return to our duties. I'm not sure that there's anything else we can do until our meeting with Iron.
I mentioned that Averdal and some of his retainers, was a halfling lord, was attempting to resist the Philistine. He is well, I don't know how I'll explain this. He is at Miagral Keep now. He survived. I already met with him, as well as Lady Athene.
You didn't meet with Athene, did you?
No.
Okay. Oh, he met with...
I'm sorry. Lady Athene and I met with him separately. And if he is of... he promised to help if he can, but he wasn't sure how with all of his estates reduced to ash.
Had he ever met with Chelbrick?
No.
I would have liked his view on the man. I don't suppose you heard any grumbling about my or Doshrik's absence from the keep, did you?
I mean, I not directly. I don't know if I overheard anything. It's good, like
No.
No.
Well, that's something. Well, we have duties at the keep and beyond to attend to. I plan to spend the night here and then head back to the keep in the morning. I'll leave a note for Lady Kieran explaining the same. Doshrik, I suggest you join me. What are your plans?
I guess it's probably like past nightfall, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see Aldrif, but it's probably too late tonight, so I'll stay as well.
And then?
And then
it's your business. You're not my dwarven mom.
I mean, I say I am also, at a loss until we meet with Iron, but if I can help in any way, let me know. I will meet with the the Trinidas again before we meet with Iron, at least to see if there's any update from their end.
Now, it sounds like we have our days set out before us. At least the vetch is quiet now, although for unholy reasons. Well, good night to you both. And she rises wearily, takes another cup of wine with her. Mm-hmm. Upstairs she goes.
Philistine were really clearing out the vetch so they could build a Vogon speedway through. Finally, all those people are gone.
I love in that thing about when they're actually bulldozing. What's his face's house? Our main character, our main house, and he's like, the plans have been up for months, and he goes, yes, in a basement door, in a basement room with no light, with a sign above the door that says "Caution, Panther." I
forgot about that. Shouldn't you have known we were demolishing our?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Caution, Panther. So great. Doshrik, right.
Arthur Dent, that was his name, right?
Yes, Arthur Dent.
Yeah. I don't really remember that.
I was going to say Adam, but I'm sure I've got my nephew on the mind. Doshrik rises, watches Faldrum leave. Doshrik turns to you and says, I'm grateful for you not mentioning that Lord Hestus's chief general is one of my kin. I'm uncomfortable with the fact that my people could be causing problems in this world. Touches your shoulder, heads upstairs.
All right.
You are thoroughly beat. It's been a day of
teleports, a lot of conversations.
Logistics and planning. How are you going to kill the next 2 days?
Well, I think I need to definitely want to go back to the keep and hang out with Aldrich's son. It's been like a week since I've seen him. And then I can go back to Convergence and talk about the info I found on the Sky Rings.
Right.
As well as do a little more reading. Those are my ideas. Again, it's a kind of weird situation where there's a lot of places I want to visit and things I want to do, but I should really stay put.
Yeah, it's sort of something hanging over you now.
Yeah. I know we've been saying for months we're going to go to Pesidarius.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. I've been wanting some adventure to explore those areas for 30 years, but so it's fun. It's fun to know that we're near.
Yeah. Once I guess this situation stabilizes, right, and we figure out what the long-term plans are.
Right. I mean, and it's hard to imagine something developing that's really going to give you a solution.
Right.
But at least, finish information gathering and at least be armed with that is better than nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So, off to bed you go.
Yeah. June 25th. A lot of rolling going on there.
Yep. So,
what attacks the vineyards in the night?
Oh, Missy. Oh. Ooh.
100 damage. Oh my god.
Nothing to be concerned about. All right. No point in doing your 3 rolls because we're going to first talk about a dream you have.
Okay.
And the dream is from your lovely Dreamweaver trapped by Volshot.
Ah, right. Whose name is Elbrieg, I believe.
Elbrieg, that's right.
Yeah.
Do I have an NPC thing for her? Let's see.
Still don't know if she creates the dream or she influences it.
Yeah, it's tough to know.
Yeah. Maybe we'll ask her if I have a chance.
So she comes to you in a dream.
Okay.
The dream is on an arid hilltop, scrub. It's not a place you've been to before, but the vegetation, the rocks, they seem familiar. Roll for me.
80.
It looks like the same region, the same terrain near Oshekra's keep. Or
Yeah.
what do we call it? What if you call it? It's not really necessarily a keep, but his headquarters, right? Whatever structure.
A tower, fortification.
Yeah. I'm cracking that.
Dogs are going crazy outside.
Who is?
Some dogs going ballistics outside.
I can't hear it at all, so that's nice.
Good.
So Elbreek is this this woman. We know that she was she's actually deceased. She's been dead for I forget how long, quite a while.
Yeah.
And she's a female elf. Average height, so about 6'4", 6'5". She's stocky and build, dark, shoulder length hair, and there is on the cliff you two stand. There is a sleeping Volshad at your feet. Volshad
down the cliff.
Now we'll get rid of her. I should
die in the dream. You die in real life.
Wrong one. There we go. Volshad has a. For those who don't remember, Volshad has trapped Elbrig's spirit, having heard of her ability back in the day when Elbrig was alive, her ability to work with dreams. She has used this power. Volshad is using her necromantic arts, has forced Elbrig to influence other people's dreams to appear as this ancient goddess, so that Volshad could influence the politics of local nobles, and for a while was attempting to influence, and I think in some ways did influence Brise.
Yeah.
Elbrig,
Meagral.
yeah. So Elbrig was able to slip somewhat out of Volshad's control. And first was secretly communicating in Volshad's appearances in her dreams. So sort of standing in the background, Brieg would be signaling things to Brise in the dream. But now she's mustered enough control that while Volshad is asleep, using Volshad's dream, she can then reach out to Brise when Brise and Volshad are simultaneously dreaming. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since we've done this, so we felt the explanation was necessary. So, of course, as usual, Elbrig gestures to be very quiet and gestures to Volshad. She steps very close to you and whispers and says, "There is a new power now that defeated Volshad and has laid possession to this tiny hamlet. I have been looking for days for an opportunity. Let's see, I should roll this person up. Man, I always mess this up. There we go. No. What is going on? There we go. Jeez. Yeah, that's
Much better to retrieve.
It is a man, one of the high men of your people. His name is Hulvaire, Hulvaire. He has compelled Volshad to serve him after sparing her life.
Wow. Volshad is a powerful necromancer, so that is something.
Trying to think.
Have I heard of the name Hulvaire at all?
That's a good question.
Not powerful, right?
No. No. I have very little to tell you. He sports throughout the town. I can see from my window that there is a banner, and she describes to you Lord Hestus's banner.
Right. I ask, does he serve Lord Hestus of the Penn clans?
I have not heard that name spoken.
Okay.
All I can say is that Volshad holds contempt for the banners. But not because she recognizes the house. One other thing that I can tell you that is at least striking in terms of recognizing this man physically is he has extremely unusual purple eyes. I will get you more information as I have it, but that is all I know.
Right. Have you seen, I guess I just asked. Yeah, I mean, it would be good to know what his eventual goal is. Has Hulvaire reached out to you? Does he know that you exist?
I was shown to him like a trophy. Otherwise, no.
Okay.
I'm not able to copy. Huh. Weird. That worked. What the heck is going on?
I propose, is it worth, I mean, I assume that you can also enter Volshad's dreams. Is it
This is Volshad's dream.
right? I assume you can communicate with Volshad. Is it worth asking her for information, or is that too risky?
She sees me a little more as a tool.
I don't think she'd answer your questions. Yeah. 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 I mean, she's confined to that tower. I can't have her like look for anything specific. She'll just have to report back when she finds something.
Right.
Okay. And I know I haven't been to that village, but I think I've seen it. I feel like. I thought I saw him, right. I thought I saw him approach the village. Let me search through my notes.
I'm thinking you saw it from a height. I think we do have the name of it. I remember that.
Yes, actually, we do. It's just like a P, I think. Oh, where did this thing?
I wish you could do linking in from one record to another in FileMaker. That'd be so cool.
It was an eagle who told me that the Nauglyph coiled about the small village and then disappeared.
Yeah.
A phantom giant
that crawls instead of walks.
And now the pen crest flies above the village. What was the name of that village? I gotta put that in my goals. We'll find that.
We would confuse it with the other village, the village, the now defunct village, the abandoned village that Elberich once ruled.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I tell Elberich that if you do find anything else, please tell me. I appreciate any information you can find.
As discreetly as I can, I will contact you when I can.
I guess I'd also ask, does Volshad seem to be plotting against Holbear, or is she resisting him?
Never have I seen such hatred in her eyes.
Yeah. Okay. At least she is not, completely at his disposal, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else? I mean, she did not roll very high for information, but she did roll.
Yeah, I mean, a name is great because we can at least look that up. And violet eyes, that's very distinct. Do I know? I was going to say, do I know anyone else with violet eyes?
That's a good question.
Oh, no.
There was a snatch of a story, a snippet of a story you overheard. Talking about, literally the phrase you heard was, and his eyes were purple. And it wasn't its, it was his. If it was its, you would care less, right? There could be some creature from another world that would have purple eyes, no problem. But this is so, I don't get why this new cut and paste is not doing it as neatly as it used to, and because of the new computer. I don't know what would cause that to happen. Here's a new OS as well.
Cut and paste is a pretty basic thing for a computer.
But now, like, the formatting is all messed up. I mean, it's It's a pain in the butt, but it doesn't matter. Whole video's in here, and I'll handle this off stream. So she tells you she'll, contact you whenever she can, and she, fades, and you wake up, and just sort of, process the information, fall right back to sleep. Wake in the morning.
Damn, what was that dream I had? Oh, it's so important. I should have written it down.
Dream journal. So we can start on the morning next time. I think we'll wrap up. We've done your morning rolls. You're just sitting up in bed, ready to rock and roll.
Time's at dawn, or
yeah.
Okay.
Typical dawn wake up. Guys, we're going to be broadcasting on Tuesday next week. We've got a scheduling conflict, so we're going to shift a little bit. So I've already updated the schedule on YouTube. So so do join us then, and we'll see what happens next here on Brise's Tale. With episode 131. As always, thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate you watching and hanging out with us, and I hope you're enjoying the story as much as Max and I are. So if you think we're doing a good job, send us a little love through donorbox.org. You see the link right there. Speaking of links, there's a link right there from Max's own YouTube channel where he discusses the role of music and original soundtracks in video games. So go take a look at those and appreciate his analysis. Thanks as always to Elliot Dunabitz for their terrific character art for Brise that we use almost every episode. Almost made it through. Oof. Almost made
a joke that time.
Man, I don't need that long. But if you want to see more of their art, please go to artstation.com/Tortolua. And I've written a novel called A Short Too Far. You can find it on Amazon. Take a look at it, please. Max, say goodnight to lovely people.
Yeah, I hope you all have a good rest of your night. Have some peaceful dreams, hopefully not about necromancers and elven spirits. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.